And we are live. And it should be, yeah, it's exactly 8 o'clock because, well, somebody in the Facebook comments asked like, oh yeah, what time is it? And will it be around 8 o'clock? And I said, no, I am Dutch, so I will be on strictly on time. We do everything on time here. And that's maybe a good thing or not, I don't know. But for instance, my girlfriend Nicola is from Germany and she sometimes has, well, let's say 8 o'clock is not always 8 o'clock. So sometimes I'm waiting for her. But anyway, if you are watching live, then hello. I'm Joshua from Future-Morphs. And thanks for watching, of course. Today is, let me check, November 20th, and it's 8 o'clock in the evening, European Standard Time at least. So if you are watching this now live, then definitely place a reaction or a comment so I know who is watching. Also, if you have any questions during this live stream, then just type it out and I will answer it live, of course. Hello Patrick, Nicola's also watching. You ask me anything, so if you want to talk about, well, anything snake related or non-snake related, but snakes is of course the biggest thing I guess, then just let me know. All questions are welcome. And like I said, if you are watching, just say hello or something so I also know who is watching. Otherwise I just see, for instance now I see 4 people are watching, but yeah, not who. So Patrick says, jetzt auf Deutsch bitte. Hallo Patrick, ich bin Joshua von der Niederlanden und ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. But that's about it. So I will keep it in English. I speak a little bit of German, but not good enough for an entire life. So also, if you want to see me live speaking Dutch, then probably tomorrow, but I will announce it. But I guess tomorrow I will go live on YouTube and there I will do basically the same live, but I will do it in Dutch. So if you want to join me tomorrow, then just go to youtube.com/FutureMorphs. Before we start with some questions, because I got some questions already before from people, but yeah, you can type any question you want, of course. Well, for instance, now Steven already asked, where is Spectre come from? Thanks for the question, Steven. I will get into that. First, I have some, well, not announcements, but some boring things to just get out of the way. And after that, we can go into the nice snake talk. Then also in the meantime, people can join the live, so it gets a bit busier maybe. So, I have my iPad here, by the way, just as as a reminder. So December 1st is the Houten Show in the Netherlands, and I will have a table together with Nicola from Boebe Snakery, of course, she will be next to me, and also Sander from Sami Snakes, and Linda and Monique from Black Pearl Corns. I always book a table for all of us, so we are always all together. So definitely come by and check out all the corn snakes. We have table K6, so that's table K6 at the Houten Show. And of course we have baby corn snakes, but also some adults we will bring. So if you want adults, then definitely come check them out. Then 2 weeks later on Saturday, December 14th is the Ham Show in Germany. I also have a table there, just by myself, and Nicola will be there as well, of course. But and I will be in the main hall, row 22. So also come check us out there. Ham is always way busier, and also I don't get that many tables, so it will be a little smaller, so the selection will be a little bit smaller. So if you want me to bring anything specific or something, then definitely let me know, because I cannot bring everything to the Ham Show. I just don't have enough space on and under the table. So then a quick reminder for everybody who maybe already is a patron, and otherwise you should definitely become a Patreon member, because there are 100 exclusive videos on there, both in Dutch and English. But every month there's a monthly deal as well for all patrons, and this month you get €25 discount on basically anything. So if you are planning to buy a corn snake from me, you can just message me and buy it, of course. But if you are a Patreon member, then you sort of instantly get €25 discount, and access to all the videos and stuff, and some other benefits. But so if you are thinking of buying something, then it could be worth subscribing to Patreon. Oh, Peter is watching. Hello, that's my dad, one of my most loyal followers, of course. And what else? Oh yeah, I'm thinking about doing a sort of a Black Friday deal or a Black Friday special offer or something, but I'm not really sure how I will do it yet. But yeah, that will be in about, I don't know, what is it, in a week or 10 days or something, it will be Black Friday. So I will post that all here on Facebook, of course. What else? Well, I don't have anything else besides the questions that I already got. So let's go into the question of Steven. So he asked, where does Spectre come from in Spectre Ghost? Good question. Spectre Ghost is basically genetically a ghost, so is Enery and hypomelanistic together. But the Spectre part is line breeding. So Spectre is not a morph by itself, so you cannot be het Spectre or something like that. But Spectres are selectively bred, and it's difficult to describe. It looks a little bit like OKT influences there, because the borders can be quite thick sometimes for Ghost, but they can also be quite colorful. So I'm not really sure if any red factor or something is involved or as well or something. But yeah, basically Spectre is just for some generations being line bred, also for a pretty grey background. So pardon me. So usually they don't have a lot of yellow in the neck as adults, but they do have sort of a pinkish yellowish glow or so. Yeah, that's Spectre. So if you have a Spectre or you want a Spectre and you want to breed it, then you can just use it as a ghost. So if you say, oh, I want to put Motley in there, or a melanistic or Tessera, you can. But basically you sort of go back a step in line breeding. On the other hand, if you take a Spectre Ghost and add red factor, that you get a nice red factor influence, then it's called Heliconia. And those are really cool. They really pop. They are even cooler than just a normal red factor ghost. So if you already have something red factor-ish, or maybe like a Mimosa Snow or a Mimosa Ghost, that's definitely also a good combination, I think. What was the name? It was on Facebook somewhere, and I sent it to Dieter, a friend of mine from Belgium. He works with Heliconia. It was an amelanistic Heliconia, and they called it Ameliconia or something, like a stupid name. Maybe some people know, but I hate all the stupid names sometimes. But I understand, it sounds cool and funny. But yeah, you can also just call it a Heliconia Snow or whatever. But anyway, that's hopefully, Stephen, that answers your question. If you want to know more, then just type it out, of course, and I will get back to it. There's also a question from Gerardo. He says, have you ever paired the Mimosa line with OKT line? Well, thank you for the question to start, of course. And no, I did not. It's a pretty simple reason. I don't have any real OKTs in my collection. So I have some scaleless animals that probably come from OKT lines, because they can have quite some high white and stuff. But they're not... I don't like to call anything like an OKT if it just maybe looks a bit like an OKT. So same as with Spectre Ghost, OKT, well, you can have two types of OKT. Basically, if a real OKT comes from the OKT Hunt Club, so that's just a locality. So if you go there and you catch a corn snake, you can say, well, this is an OKT. But OKT phase, that is basically what we have, or what we usually have in the hobby, and everybody just calls it OKT. That, of course, is selectively bred for a really dark red background and really thick black borders around and stuff. So I do like OKTs, but my problem is my mind, that if I start with OKTs, then I think, okay, I have some cool OKTs. I also want to add a melanistic to get reverse OKTs, and they are around, so you can just buy them, of course, but I do also like them. Tessera OKTs are already around, and so I would just want to mix in all sorts of things, and then before you know it, you have an entire rack full of just OKT combos. So I want to spare myself from that. Last year I did sort of got into Miamis, but I only bought 2 females, and they are growing really well, and they're really cool looking Miami line. I got them from Wire Forest Reptiles from the UK, and I really like them. And this year, maybe you saw on Facebook, I'm looking for a male actually, but yeah, I cannot find a good looking Miami male, because I'm also pretty strict with what I want as a Miami. So I got some offers, but not all the offers really look like real good looking Miamis. So Miamis should basically have no yellow in the neck or anywhere on the body, and a really nice gray, like basically this type of gray background. So you have a gray background with red saddles, which I really like. So if you have a nice Miami male, and it can also be a crimson or a candy cane or a motley or whatever, send me pictures and information, because I really want one. I found some really cool looking ones in the USA. The downside is then the shipping costs basically more than the animals itself, so it's not really worth it unless I maybe import like 10 animals, but yeah, I don't want to do that. And So yeah, I decided to look around at the Houten and the Ham show in December, and fingers crossed that I find them there. And otherwise, hopefully next year I find a male. But so Gerardo, hopefully that also answers your question, because while I did match or combined Mimosa with quite a lot, but yeah, not with OKT yet. Then we have a question about, oh, somebody asked about shipping yesterday. So yes, with the Go, that's General Overnight, the company, I can ship snakes within the Netherlands, but also to Germany, Austria, I have to think, and Poland in some regions and stuff. But anyway, so I can still ship because they do it all year round. And of course you can put it in the styrofoam box with a heat pack and stuff. But yeah, if it is pretty cold, especially at night, I don't really like to ship even with heat packs, because yeah, I don't know yeah, how they are stored or something while they are in transit, of course. So as soon as I give the package away to the to Go, there are labels on there like keep warm and this side up, and so they are labeled really well. But yeah, if the people really keep them sort of warm as I write on the box, that's always the downside. So yes, shipping is possible to all those countries, but just message me and we can talk about what the things. Oh, Nicola says, yeah, Luxembourg and Czech Republic. Just Czech Republic and Poland are not, they don't ship everywhere, just certain zip codes. So keep that in mind. Raza says, so can we expect Miami clutch 2025-26? 2025, definitely not, because my females are now just over a year old and they are growing well, but they're not big enough for breeding in 2025. Plus I don't have a male, at least not a Miami male. I can always start a project and put something else on there, and I might eventually do that if I don't find a Miami male, but fingers are still crossed that I find a cool Miami. So yeah, that would, so maybe 2026 the earliest. What else? Oh yeah, let me check, because I put it down here. I got a question on Facebook at the previous post from yesterday from Jerzy Swinka. I hope I pronounced it right. He said, I'd like to hear your opinion about hybrids. Recently was wondering how the palmetto gene could be transferred to other colubrids like Kelly king snakes or bull snakes. How long would it take to achieve if the offspring would be fertile and the lineage could be slowly cleaned up of the majority of the corn snake gene? I know it's controversial, but just can't stop thinking about it. Also, thanks for that question, Jerzy. Yeah, some people actually find hybrids a controversial topic, but it's not a problem for me to talk about. I don't think it's that controversial. So, what is a hybrid for some people who don't know? So that is if you cross two different snake species together. So for instance, a corn snake and a, what was it, a bull snake or a Kelly king snake. So it would mean it's a Pantherophis guttatus to a Lampropeltis or to a Pitiophis species. So they're different species. And yeah, back in the day they were called intergrades if it were different subspecies. So for instance, when I was young, when I had still long hair, no, I never had long hair, but you had Pantherophis guttata, of Elaphe guttata guttata and Elaphe guttata emori. So they were subspecies, and now it's just Pantherophis guttatus and Pantherophis emori. But back then, if you cross two different subspecies together, it would be called an intergrade. But the more DNA testing and stuff is done by biologists, the more they find out that a lot of snakes are different species and not different subspecies. So intergrades are not really a thing anymore, I guess. Also not in the hobby. But well, a hybrid is a cross between two snakes. Well, so that is also the reason why some people say it's controversial or you should not do it, because you get an unpure snake species, which is true. On the other hand, nothing really changes with the parents. So sometimes people say like, oh, why would you waste a corn snake and a bull snake together, for instance? Well, you don't really waste them, because the corn snake father, if you use a palmetto corn snake, it will always stay a corn snake, and the bull snake will always stay a bull snake. Just the babies, of course, are a 50-50% cross. So, well, the question about can you get palmetto into a bull snake or a king snake? Yes, definitely possible. And it would take at least 2 generations, because in the first generation you would get het palmettos, of course. And if you would use a California king snake, it would be a jungle corn. So that's the name for the hybrid species. So yeah, you will get a 50-50 cross, basically, het palmetto. So if you breed those babies back together, you will get palmettos, and they will still be 50% corn snake, 50% Lampropeltis. Statistically, of course, because some babies will get more genes or genetics from the king snake, and some will look more like a corn snake and have more corn snake inside of them. But you would always label them still as 50-50. If you would then take one of those palmetto that are 50-50 and you cross it back to a pure Lampropeltis, for instance, then the babies are 75% Lampropeltis and 25% corn snake. The reason I do this is, again, it's not as simple as, they have 100% of their genetics and 75% is king snake. Like I said, sometimes some babies of hybrids will look really much like a corn snake and some will really look like a king snake. But yeah, you just would label them as 75% and 25%. So yeah, it would take at least 2 generations. And the more you cross in Lampropeltis, for instance, the more percentage Lampropeltis will be in there, and they will also look more like Lampropeltis. But 2 questions I would have then, especially if it's about palmettos. Why would you go for a palmetto hybrid? Because you don't really see a lot anyway. Well, the head shape and stuff will be different, but you don't see all the cool colors that some king snakes or bull snakes can have. So I don't care about, that sounds bad. I don't mind hybrids at all. But with palmetto, I don't really see the benefit, let's put it that way. Because if you would make if you want to make a hybrid, mostly people do it because they look really cool. So you can get sort of the look of a corn snake, but with colors of a milk snake, or a little bit more banded, and they usually have cool head patterns. And if you mix albino in the mix, or missing blacks, let's say, they really pop in color and stuff. So you can, corn snake or hybrids are really often really cool. At least they can look really cool. So I don't mind them at all. Nicola, my girlfriend, she breeds some hybrids, well, not every year, but this year and at least last year. But it was 2 Lampropeltis species that she bred together. So this year she had, last year she did corn snake to Lampropeltis, and this year she did 2 Lampropeltis species together. The only downside, well, there's not 2 downsides, and one sort of Nicola said to me, and I thought, yeah, you are right. So I would not make a hybrid of 2 sort of totally different species. So then think of a desert species and a jungle species. Or a species that lives in the trees and climbs, and a species that lives on the ground or maybe even underground. Or a species that's like an Asian red snake species that wants to be kept really cool, to Central American red snake species that wants to be warm and humid, for instance. Because then the babies might not really know what they are or what they want, or we don't know what they want, basically. So that could be a downside. And the reason I don't breed hybrids myself is I can label, I can make hybrids. That's not well, I guess I could do it at least. I never bred them, but it should be possible. Well, more people do it. I can sell them to you. I can give you a certificate and say, look, it's 50% corn snake, 50% Lampropeltis, or whatever it is, and give you all the information and say, look, hybrid, watch out. Well, not watch out, but know what you buy. But after that, all control from my part, of course, is gone. So I also see it, and I'm not the only one, like I always give away a certificate, and for instance, if I put on there, oh, this animal is 50% post-het palmetto. Not every buyer knows what 50% possible het means. So yeah, I sell it today, and tomorrow I see a picture on Facebook like, oh, I'm so happy with my het palmetto corn snake. So sometimes if people don't really understand genetics or maybe hybrids, I can sell it with a certificate and stuff, like correctly what it is. But sometimes as soon as people come home, it already changed a bit, let's say. So I would feel sort of bad if I sell a hybrid to somebody and they resell it to another person who's not really into snakes or genetics or whatever, and they think they have a pure corn snake. Because if then they breed it and they think they bred pure corn snakes, but they are hybrids, and so yeah, that basically is, well, my only, yeah, how would you say, what I don't like about hybrids, let's say. Of course, if you inform people that buy correctly and you say, are you sure you know what this is and stuff, then it doesn't have to be a problem, but that can be a problem at least. And I'm thinking hybrid species wise, I once had, but it's quite a while ago already, but I had a carpondro, so that's a green tree python with a carpet python mix. It was a pretty cool animal, but I never bred it or so. So, and I don't think I had any other hybrids myself. But well, you can make all sorts of hybrids, by the way. Also, for instance, a ball python from West Africa and a Burmese python from Southeast Asia. So snakes don't have to come from the same area or something to make babies. And what's also a misunderstanding is that hybrids are infertile. That's also part of the question, of course. It can be that your babies are not fertile or so. But with snakes, I don't see it that often, because you can breed, at least for instance, a corn snake to a king snake, but then you also sometimes have milk snake in the mix, and also, yeah, a cross of like 3 or 4 or 5 different species even. So, it's definitely possible to cross most corn snakes and Lampropelta species. With bull snakes, I was not sure, but I googled and it's called like a turbo corn or something, but yeah, you don't find a lot of those, but also, at least here in the Netherlands, bull snakes are not kept that much. So and gopher snakes and stuff. So the entire Pityophis genus is not kept that much. So, teach offering. Well, so Jersey, I hope that answered your question. D. Muhammad Yunus, Prime Minister, asks, who are you? I am Joshua Hanning from Future-Morphs. Hello. And Tamara asks, a little late, but it's snake feeding time and have to separate the snakes. Tamara, you can just listen to me in the background. At least, hopefully, that's not too annoying. At least you don't have to watch me then. That can be a good thing. So Jersey, thanks for the question. If you who was watching have other questions, definitely let me know. I got another question about an hour ago from Raza Schlekine. I hope I pronounced it right. And she asked, what time of year is the best to go to Ham or Houten to get a corn snake? Are you selling only hatchlings and adults? Also not a bad question. Usually the best shows, well, what is the best? But if you want to find the most babies at the tables, then usually September and October are the best. Because a lot of babies are born in June, July, August, September, so you will have a little bit more variety. So in September there is always a Houten show and a Ham show, and in October there is Snake Day Houten. So those are usually some of the best, but also December is still quite a good timing, because not, well, as you can see behind me, definitely not everything is sold. So also some babies who hatch a little later, like in August or September, they are ready to go now. So even some fresh new babies will hit the tables, not just from me, but also from other breeders, of course. So yeah, in December you have again Houten. Well, this year it's at December 1st and December 14th is Ham. So those are also still good shows to find babies. And I also have some adults for sale, basically every year. Well, at the moment I have 4 animals, 4 adults available, and I think Nicola also has 4. So not too many anymore, but still, yeah, if you want a proven breeder or just a pet that is a little bit bigger, that's also definitely possible. And the reason is, yeah, I just keep, some people would say too many babies each year, but every year I breed babies that I really like, or it's a project I just want to keep going, or I made something cool, so I just want to keep them. But yeah, for every, let's say 10 babies that I keep, in 2 to 3 years they will be adults, so I also need to make space. So that's why, basically for every 10 babies that I keep, somewhere within 2 years I also have to sell 10 adults. And that's basically how I do it every year. So every year I keep some babies and also I sell some adults. So at least the amount of adults and sub-adults will stay about the same. Raza asked, I'm worried a bit because of temperatures, because I personally would be going by car there and it's around 17 hours drive. Ooh, 17 hours is long. But on the other hand, well, unless it's really slippery because of snow and ice, then it can be dangerous, of course. But if it's just cold, but the roads are not slippery, then it's not too bad to drive, I guess. At least just turn on the heating and you will be fine. But yeah, 17 hours is a long drive. I never did that long of a drive for a reptile show. I guess the furthest I ever went was to, well, Ulm, I hope I pronounced it right, in the south of Germany. That's quite far, but that's just, I think, 7 or 8 hour drive. And I was, I think, 2 times in Verona in Italy. That's, yeah, from here about, I think, 12 to 13 hours. But I did not drive it all by myself. I was with other people so we could switch. Because I don't like to drive for 12 hours a day. I cannot focus that long usually. So I'm listening to you. Hi from Fusili. Hello Fusili. Fusili, that's still a funny name. Well, Raza, I hope that also answered your question. But, well, yeah, you can always check the weather forecast. But Houten and Ham both have their benefits. Ham is a little bigger. It's always, how to say, advertised as the biggest show in the world. And it is a really big show, so there's a big chance you will find something cool. But it's also, because it's so big, it's also really busy. So it's not as a fun show to just look around, because you really have to go between people. And so what I usually do, even if I'm a visitor in Ham, I basically walk in the lines and I just do a little bit like what's there and what's there. And yeah, if it sounds stupid, but if I think, oh, it's just leopard geckos, then I usually don't even go to the table. Because if you really want to see everything, it will take all day. So that's not per se a bad thing. But in Houten, it's all a little bit bigger or a wider setup. So you have way more space to yeah, maneuver and yeah, basically have a good look at everything. So I think as a visitor, Houten is a little bit nicer. Also as a seller, by the way, in Houten you have some more space. But in Ham, even though you have less space as a seller, the sales are pretty good. So yeah, if you, I now have 4 meters of table, so I just make sure that all my stuff can be under there and so. So it's not too bad, but yeah, as a buyer, I would go to Ham. As a visitor and just looking around, I would go to Houten. Or you can be like me and go to both of them. But if you have to drive 17 hours, then I can understand you won't do that for with 2 weeks in between. What else? Hybrid, Ham show. Oh yeah, brumation is another question that I got. That's the last question that I will answer, by the way. So then I can show you some snakes as well. So if you want to see snakes, then also let me know which morphs or something you would like. But yeah, somebody asked, like, do you brumate your snakes? And it's a question that I have on YouTube, so you can always look it back on YouTube, also in Dutch. But I don't really brumate my snakes in the classical sense of that I will stop feeding for like about a month and then really cool them down and stuff. I did do it in the past for 1 or 2 years, but I did not really notice any difference in between yeah, breeding or more fertile eggs or something. So that's why I don't really do it anymore. But my snake room does cool down a bit in temperature in wintertime. So the hotspot will stay the same, but the ambient temperature will go a bit down. And I also feed way less in wintertime, because I try that the females who laid eggs this year, that they sort of gained weight already now. So I fed them enough in yeah, summer and autumn, basically, that they should be big enough again and have all their fat reserves back. The males who are already breeding, they are big enough anyway, so you should not even feed them too much anyway. They just become a little bit fatty. The only thing that could be a benefit if you don't brumate your snakes is if you have like animals that are about 1.5 years old, so 2023 babies. I do keep feeding them in winter time, so especially males, if you keep feeding them, well, it depends on how much you fed them before and stuff, but yeah, they usually can then grow a little bit more in those 2 or 3 or 4 months, so they are just a little bit bigger and you have a better breeding potential with the males that are basically then 2 years old in 2025. Usually my females don't make it in 2 years anyway for breeding, so the 2000 23 animals that I either bought or kept for myself. Yeah, I will keep feeding them as well, but usually they won't make it. They won't be big enough for breeding anyway, I think. So, so no, I don't really brumate, but I do give them sort of a winter dip. I also noticed that usually around somewhere in middle of February to March, not all, but a lot of the snakes sort of go in a shed, and that's also what they do if you brumate them. Once you heat them up again, then usually in about a week or 2 weeks they will also start a shed cycle again. So it seems that in their minds they sort of have enough of a winter dip to sort of understand, like, oh, it's springtime now and it's time for feeding and breeding again. Raza asks, so males can be younger for breeding than females? Yes, usually yes. It's always on average, sort of, because it really depends, well, how big are the babies when they were born, and are they born in June or in maybe in October or whatever. But usually you can say that males can breed in 2 years and females in 3 years. So for next year, 2025, the 2023 males and older usually can breed. And females from 2022 and older usually can breed. But like I said, you can make females ready to breed within 2 years if you feed them more. It's a little bit of when I just had a few snakes, I probably fed a bit more, because then I sometimes would make it in 2 years for females. But now, yeah, I don't really, well, of course I see the benefits. I know that sometimes then you can make animals like new morphs, maybe 1 year earlier and stuff. But if it's about money, yes, I breed snakes and I sell them for money. So yeah, I do make money off the snakes. But with corn snakes, it's not about 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 euro animals like with ball pythons or some boas, for instance. So I think it's healthier to feed a little bit less and give a female a year more of time to really not be just like 250 or 270 grams and breed her and get like 6 or 7 eggs. I'd rather just wait an extra year and she's maybe 400 or 500 grams and lays like 16 eggs. I think that's healthier for the female, and you will get more eggs as well. I don't know, because I had snakes for so many years without making any money. It only cost me money, of course. And then I also did not do it or so. But I can imagine if I would say, ooh, but if I breed these snakes a little quicker, and even I have just 6 eggs and I make like, the babies are 50,000 euro each. Yeah, then I could understand that you say, well, let's go for 6 babies, because then you have 300,000 euros and you can buy a house. But that's not the case. If I breed a cool corn snake, a really cool corn snake, that might be like 500 euros, and there's one of them and the other ones are like 100 euros, for instance. So you don't have to do it for the money. Yeah, that's basically the reason that I usually like to have females just a year longer and older. But in general, also the minimum that usually is the rule of 3. So 3 years old, 300 grams and 3 feet long. So 3 feet is about a meter. Length for me is not that important. It's more about the build for me, because sometimes you have snakes of 300 grams that are really long and skinny and they don't have a lot of fat reserves, so they are less ready for breeding. While some animals are 300 grams but short and stocky, like me. I'm also short and stocky. But yeah, those might be ready for breeding at 300 grams or maybe at 280 or 320 or around the 300 gram range. Because they just don't have the potential to become like 1.5 or 1.6 meters and like 600-700 grams. So it is also a little bit about genetics, of course. So, well, I think that was the last question. Yeah, I think so. So if in the meantime you have some other questions, let me know. I was also thinking I can show you some babies now, or also some adults if you want. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you would like to see, because I will flip the camera. I have a little too many babies still to all show, but I think Nicola will allow it. I will show some hybrids that she has, because we talked about hybrids, of course. There. These are 2 that she will keep herself, so don't message if they are available. But this is a male, and this is a female. And they are from the same clutch. So it's a Lampropeltis polyzona to a Lampropeltis leonis. So it's basically a Mexican king snake and a Mexican milk snake mix. But yeah, they are, well, the king snake is also called variable king snake. But yeah, this is sort of more like a milk snake face with all the bands. And this will look more like a king snake. But that's also what I meant, like basically, like genetically, these are both 50% milk snake, 50% king snake. But yeah, I'm also not the biggest milk snake expert or so. But yeah, if I would see this at a reptile show and it would be labeled as just a pure milk snake, I would think, well, that's possible. It has a funky pattern, but could be. And if this was labeled as just a Lampropeltis leonis, like the variable king snake, I would think, well, they are pretty variable. So so that's also one of the downside with the percentage. So if you make hybrids, I would also always put in there if it's like 50% or 75% and all the species in there, because it makes it a little bit more clear. But just by look, it can be quite difficult. So, and well, if for all the Lampropeltis people, damn it, she's in full shed. This is a splotched Lampropeltis polyzona, so a pure milk snake, but yes, splotched is a morph. But they're really pretty cool. That's why Nicola's is keeping this one, but that's in shed. Do we have a splotched here? I don't know which ones of these are or are not available, but they're also pretty variable at least. So, and they have like a nice, like almost pie-sided faces and tails usually. So quite funny Lampropeltis. Raza asked, could you show Tessera adults? It's my priority morph. Yes, I can. Oh.
Hello.
Oh, for all the German-speaking people, Nicola, you can speak German.
Ich kann Deutsch sprechen, das stimmt.
Come in. Well, let's make it English, because most of the people understand English. What do we have here?
These are corn snake and Lampropeltis polyzona mixes, but with Tessera.
Can you hold your hand still?
Oh, okay.
Otherwise people get seasick. So it's 50% corn snake, 50% milk snake.
Yes.
Well, and that's also what I just talked about. So these are also siblings from each other. So both 50% corn snake, 50% Mexican milk snake.
Yeah.
But as you see, also Tessera is in there. So Raza, you also have your Tessera in there now. But yeah, these are hybrids, of course. And Buff could be in the mix. But also here, yeah, these are so different from each other. So that's also the cool thing about hybrids. It's, yeah, you won't get two of the same ones, sort of, even in one clutch. So,
yeah.
And which one do you like best, Nicola, by look? Because we have different tastes, I guess.
Yeah,
so which one do you like the best?
Well, both are really cool, but I do like the contrast of him.
Ha, you're an idiot, because this one is the coolest.
Well, she is also cool indeed. But yeah, they're just totally different.
Yeah, that's true. Patrick Wanningen says Nicola, and he waves. So wave
hello.
back. No, say hello.
Hello.
I'm Deutsch, auf Deutsch. So, we had Google Translate now, so everybody who was laughing at me that I should speak German, I spoke German and Nicola spoke German, so...
Een paar woorden.
Kun je ook al Nederlands?
Een beetje.
Nou ja zeg, wat een internationale live is dit. But let's stick with English. So, Raza, Tesseras. Well, can you... I did feed today, so if some have a thick belly or bite me, then no, they should not bite. But if you see bigger bellies, then you know why. So this is a ghost Tessera. And she's had, let's check, Palmetto, Caramel, Amer, Motley, but visually a ghost Tessera. Well, this is also Tessera. No, I'm not food. But this is Amber Snow Tessera Motley. So Tessera Motley makes it like this pinstripe look. So it's basically, yeah, snow. So it's amelanistic, anerythristic, caramel, hypo, Tessera Motley. And she has, from as a baby, some sort of red paradoxing spots or so. But yeah, if you like it more like a pinstripe, then add Motley in the mix. If you want more like a wide stripe, then usually Scalers and Tessera makes this, because this is Enery Tessera Scalers. Not always, but usually Scalers Tessera makes like a really wide stripe. Well, you look still pretty hungry, don't bite. This is a Mimosa Ultramel Enery Tessera. And although she's not the pinkest, but she has like really lots of yellow in the neck, but also on the face and stuff. I really like it. It's just sort of a, well, in a good way, but a strange look for Ultramel Enery. So, well, I won't say I can keep going forever, but I do have quite some Tesseras. This is just to throw you off, because sometimes people think, oh, this is a Tessera. Or this is a Tessera. But yeah, these are Aztecs. So there's no Tessera in there at all. It's just line breeding for, yeah, a striped pattern. And just to make a quick commercial for myself, this one is available, a big female. And this one is available as well. So it's not Tessera, so maybe not for Raza, but Patrick asked, I will go like this again. Patrick asked, why did you use different bedding for babies and adults? Damn it, do I have to keep my arm like this? Yeah, I will. Also good question, Patrick, but I do like what I use for the adults. That is Gypsy Super. Do I have a bag here? Well, it's, oh, damn it, that was a really close up. It's just half a bag, but damn it. But Gypsy Super. That is what I like to use for the adults, because it absorbs moisture and poop and pee pretty well. And it's also pretty light and fluffy, but not so light and fluffy that they can all push it to one side. I also used Lighnocell in the past, and to me it was too light. If they would move around, they really would push everything to one side of the tub. The downside is, if you keep babies on there, you can, but especially with feeding, if the pinkies are still a little moist or damp, and you put them in there, it sticks to the pinky quite a bit, because it's so light. So there's a bigger chance that the babies would eat it. So the wood chips are a little harder and heavier, so they don't stick too much to the pinkies. But it's always like sort of a, well, not a gamble, but on one hand, if they eat a little bit of gypsy, then it's not too bad because they can poop it out, but they will have more chance of eating it. And a big wood chip is, of course, harder and bigger, so more difficult to digest / poop out. But there's also a smaller chance they would eat it. So, yeah, it's a little bit like, yeah, what you... yeah, choosing between two options basically. For people who just have one corn snake as a pet, I usually recommend to take the snake out of the terrarium and feed it in a loose box or something. Then you are 100% sure no bedding will get in. But yeah, that's the reason. I also like Gypsy Super for reptile shows because it's so light. So also for transport. Also, by the way, if I ship animals or so. Yeah, so like I said, it absorbs well, but it's not heavy or so. Jack Yang, nice to meet you. Hi Jack, nice to meet you too. All your corn snakes are good quality, thanks, and growing so fast. Biggest one is 25 grams. Well, that's good to hear. I don't, well, I did not weigh my babies yet or so, but I doubt the biggest ones are 25 grams. But I can at least, which one would be one of my biggest? I think maybe, where are you? Nah, no, not you. Maybe one lower. Oh, people were... hello. I forgot that I was on the front camera. Well, this might be one of the bigger ones that I have. Well, I will show my finger, but... So it's, what is it? Microscalus Snow Tessera. And this one is also pretty big, but she's also from clutch number 1. So, yeah, literally the first clutch. So she's the oldest of all the holdbacks. It's a Scalus Hypoputer striped, but she's also doing well. But at least good to hear that they also do it well. Yeah, they are feeding and growing well with you. Raza, did you see enough Tesseras? Well, you can always say no, and then I will say, well, I will stop anyway. No, I'm just looking around if I missed anything. Well, I will show you this one. This is a, well, there's yellow factor involved in the line, but by look, it's just a tessera, but it could be a super tessera. It almost looks like a motley with a pinstripe, but it's not. Oh, no, don't. I just wanted to show your belly. So yeah, genetically, snakes can be super tessera. So that means they have 2 copies of the tessera. So some people call it dominant tessera or whatever. So they only produce tessera babies. The downside is there's no visual difference between a tessera and a super tessera. Or a dominant tessera, or like I said, however you want to call it. So, yeah, if you see, like, also for myself, but also if I sell animals like this, I just call it super in between brackets tessera, because it comes from 2 tessera parents. So, yeah, there is a chance it's a super, but only breeding will tell. In the meantime, Jack said, I feed them each 3 days for babies. Well, that probably will make the difference that mine are a little smaller. I feed them, well, maximum every 5 days, but usually about every 7 days. Also depending a bit on if I have reptile shows or yeah, if I'm gone for 1 or 2 days or whatever. So sometimes it's every 5 days, but otherwise, so 5, 6, 7 days I usually feed the babies myself. Raza says, yes, they are amazing, especially white with yellow markings on the head. Well, thanks. Well, for now, it's already 45 minutes or 46 minutes that I'm talking, so I can understand that you might be done with me by now. I won't say I am done with you. Oh, damn it. I broke my... Oh, no. I broke my... oh, now I have to keep it like this. Well, maybe this will work. I just broke my tripod stand thingy, so... I am such an amateur. Baby, plop. I will just put it like this for now. So, I hope my phone won't drop, and I'm a little crooked, I know, but, well, don't expect a professional YouTuber / Facebooker. Well, I hope I answered all your questions. If you have any questions, type them now. I know there's always like a few seconds delay, so I will wait. Oh, I also saw a heart coming, so if you are watching and you liked it, then press the thumbs up or a heart, because then people know that how nice the live was. And if you don't have any questions anymore, then, well, I hope to see you either at the How to Show or the Ham Show. Then definitely come, yeah, have a chat with me. That's always fun, of course. And if you have any other questions that pop up after this live, then just send me a private message or a WhatsApp, of course. So, that was it for now. Thank you and have a good evening. See you in Hout or Ham.